There was a man named Musa who sat every day under Ojuelegba Bridge in Lagos. He wore dirty clothes, had dust on his face, and held a small plastic bowl. He begged for money from people passing by. His voice was soft and his eyes looked tired. People felt sorry for him. Every morning he came to the same spot. He stretched his hands and asked, "Please help me." People dropped money in his bowl. Some gave 50 naira. Some gave 200 naira. Others just walked past him. He never got angry. He just kept asking. But Musa was not a poor man. At night, he did not sleep under the bridge. He walked far into a bush behind an uncompleted building near Suralere. There he changed his clothes. Inside a black bag, he had a white native cloth, red beads, cowries, and a calabash. He placed all the money he received during the day inside the calabash. He poured a black liquid on the money and chanted strange words. He called the names of some spirits. "This is your share. Bring me more next time," he said. Then he buried the money in a hole beside the building. He covered it with a black cloth and leaves. The next day he returned to the bridge. He acted like nothing happened. People saw him and continued to give him money. He smiled at them. He looked weak and hungry. But deep inside he was not. He was using the money for rituals. Her name was Esther. She was a cleaner at a small office in Yaba. She passed Ojuelegba Bridge every day on her way to work. One afternoon, she saw Musa sitting under the bridge. His hands shook as he stretched them toward her. "Please help me," Musa said. Esther felt bad. She only had 500 naira left, but she gave him 200 naira. "God will help you," she said. Musa looked at her quietly. He nodded and smiled, but he did not say thank you. Esther went to work as usual. But the next day, something strange happened. When she got to the office, her boss called her in. "You are no longer needed here," he said. Esther was shocked. "Why, sir?" she asked. The boss just said, "We don't need a cleaner anymore." Esther left the building confused. She did not understand what went wrong. She had done nothing wrong. She had been loyal. She had always come to work on time. She remembered the 200 naira she gave Musa. She felt a sudden fear in her chest, but she told herself it was just a bad day. That night, Musa was back in the bush. He poured Esther's money into the calabash. He whispered her name and said, "One job for one gift. Spirits, take it." He laughed as he buried the money again. The next day, more people gave him money. He counted the notes, looked at the faces, and smiled to himself. He knew whose life would break next. Esther cried at home. She could not explain her sudden bad luck. But Musa already knew. Tund was only 9 years old. He was in primary 4. His mother always gave him 100 naira to buy snacks after school. On a Friday afternoon, he was walking with his school bag when he saw Musa sitting under the Ojuelegba Bridge. Musa looked up at him. He said softly, "My son, please help me. I have not eaten." Tund paused. He looked at the man. He felt sorry. He reached into his small pocket and brought out 10 naira. He dropped it into Musa's plastic bowl. Musa did not smile. He just looked at the boy and nodded. "Thank you," he said in a low voice. Tund walked home. That night he started coughing. His body became hot. His mother gave him medicine, but nothing worked. By the next morning his body was weak. He could not stand well. His parents rushed him to the clinic. The doctor did many tests but found nothing serious. Still, Tund kept getting weaker. His mother sat beside his bed and cried. At the same time, Musa was in his bush again. He brought out the 10 naira note. It was small, but it came from a pure heart. "Children give the cleanest gifts," he said. He poured red oil on the note and dropped it into the calabash. "Let the spirits take the boy's strength," he said. The bush became quiet. Musa smiled. At the clinic, Tund slept, sweating. The doctor said, "We don't know what is wrong." His mother whispered prayers. But Musa had already buried the money. He sat under the bridge again the next day. He looked weak and sad. Another person dropped money in his bowl. The cycle continued. Pastor Chinedu was known around Yaba for his small but serious church. Every Saturday he passed under Ojuelegba Bridge on his way to evangelism. He always carried his Bible, wore a white shirt, and greeted people kindly. One Saturday morning he saw Musa begging near the same spot again. "Please help me. I have not eaten," Musa said, stretching his hand toward the pastor. Pastor Chinedu stopped. He looked at Musa closely. Then he shook his head. "I'm sorry," the pastor said. "God told me not to give you anything." Musa frowned. "Why?" The pastor replied calmly, "Your spirit is not clean." Musa's smile vanished. He said nothing. The pastor walked away. That night, Musa returned to the bush angrily. He poured out the day's money into his calabash. He looked into the dark sky and said, "One man refused me. One man challenged me. He must pay." He brought out a small clay pot and poured ashes into it. Then he said loudly, "If I cannot take from him, then I must block his path." The wind around him became strong. Leaves flew across the ground. He placed the clay pot under a tree, covered it with sand, and walked away. 2 days later, Pastor Chinedu was walking to his church when a loud crash happened. A trailer had failed brakes and crushed 3 shops beside the road. One of them was where the pastor usually stopped to buy tracts and paper. He stood still, shocked. "If I had come 5 minutes earlier, I would be dead," he said. He went back home to pray. That night, Musa sat under the bridge and watched people again. He smiled slightly. He had made his warning clear. 2 youth corps members, Sei and Ada, were serving in Lagos. They taught in a school not far from Ojulegba. Every Wednesday, they stopped by a small kiosk under the bridge to buy snacks before heading home. One afternoon, they saw Musa sitting quietly on his mat. He stretched out his bowl and said, "Please help me. I am hungry." Sei looked at Ada. "Let's give him something. We're getting paid next week anyway." Ada smiled. She reached into her bag and brought out 500 naira. Sei added 200 naira. Together, they dropped the 700 naira into Musa's bowl. "Thank you," Musa said. He stared at them for a long time. Later that night, Musa entered his secret bush. He placed the 700 naira in the calabash and poured salt and red powder over it. Then he held a mirror to his face and whispered, "2 souls, 1 offering. Spirits, take them far." He laughed, then folded a white cloth over the bowl. The next morning, Sei and Ada did not show up at school. The headmistress called their phones. No answer. She called their fellow corpers. No one had seen them since the day before. By evening, the news spread. They were missing. People searched. Posters were printed. Police were alerted. But no one could find them. Their phones stayed off. Their rooms were untouched. Their bags were still there. It was as if they had walked off the earth. Musa sat under the bridge, quiet and still. Someone dropped money in his bowl, but he did not smile. His eyes were empty. He had made a big offering. And the spirits had taken it. There was a boy named Samuel who sold phone cards near the bridge. He was only 13 but very sharp. Every day, he saw Musa sitting in the same spot, begging people for money. Samuel noticed something strange. Musa always left around 9 p.m. and walked alone into the dark path behind the market. One evening, Samuel decided to follow him. He waited from a distance. When Musa stood up and walked away, Samuel followed slowly. Musa did not look back. He walked deeper into a quiet bush beside an uncompleted building. Samuel hid behind a tree and watched. Musa opened a black bag and brought out red beads, white cloth, a calabash and many dirty notes. He began to pour liquid on the money. He spoke words Samuel could not understand. Then Musa lit a small fire, poured something into it, and the flames turned blue. Samuel's heart beat fast. He took a step back and stepped on a dry stick. Crack! Musa turned sharply. "Who's there?" he shouted. Samuel held his breath. He did not move. Musa stood up and walked toward the sound, but the bush was too dark. He stopped, looked around, then went back to his things. Samuel waited until Musa began to chant again. Then he ran away quietly. He did not stop running until he reached the main road. He told his uncle everything. The uncle listened but laughed. "You watch too many Nollywood films," he said. But Samuel knew what he saw. He never went near Musa again. He changed his spot and sold his cards somewhere else. And every night, Musa continued his work in the bush, not knowing someone had seen his secret. Everyone called her Mama Cafila. She was an old woman who roamed the streets of Lagos. Her hair was rough, and her clothes were torn. She often spoke to herself and shouted at the sky. People said she was mad, but some also said she once had a gift, that she saw things others could not see. One hot afternoon, she walked near Ojulegba Bridge. Musa was sitting as usual, begging for money. A few people dropped coins in his bowl. Mama Cafila stopped in front of him. She stared at him for a long time. Musa looked away, uncomfortable. Then she shouted, "This man is not hungry. He eats from spirits. He buries money in the ground." People turned to look. Some laughed. Some walked away. Musa frowned. "Old woman, leave here." But she kept shouting, "He is using your gifts for darkness. Every naira you give him becomes a curse on your head." A young man passing by stopped and asked her, "What are you saying?" She pointed at Musa. "Don't give him your money. He is working with evil spirits." Musa stood up and grabbed his bowl. "I don't know this woman. She's mad." Mama Cafila laughed and said, "You know me well. The spirits you serve warned you about me." Musa walked away quickly, angry. People watched him in silence. Some believed the mad woman. Others said she was just talking nonsense. But from that day, fewer people gave Musa money. He noticed it. His bowl stayed half empty. That night, he went to the bush angrily. He poured his small offering into the calabash and said, "She must be silent. She talks too much." He poured a black powder on the fire. Something began to move in the shadows. It was a cold night. Musa walked into the bush, angry and afraid. Since the mad woman shouted, people were no longer giving him money like before. His calabash was half full. The spirits had not received enough for days. He knelt beside the tree where he always buried the money. He opened his bag and brought out the calabash, red beads, palm oil and cowries. He poured the little money he got into the calabash and began to chant, "Spirits, accept this. I will do more tomorrow." He poured black liquid into the bowl. Then everything went quiet. Too quiet. The wind stopped. The leaves didn't move. Then he heard a voice. It was low, deep, and not human. "We are hungry." Musa froze. He looked around. There was no one. Another voice spoke. "Money is not enough. You gave us coins. We want blood." Musa's hands began to shake. "I have always served you," he said. "I bring what I collect. Bring blood, or we take yours," the voice said again. The ground under him shook lightly. The fire beside the calabash turned blue, then black. Musa stood up quickly. "Please, give me time." He heard whispers. Laughter. Then silence again. Musa fell to the ground, sweating. For the first time, he felt fear. He packed his things quickly and ran out of the bush. He could not sleep that night. He sat on his bed, breathing fast. He knew what the spirits wanted now. And he also knew what it meant. If he didn't bring blood, they would come for him. And spirits do not lie. The next morning, Musa sat under the bridge, eyes red, hands shaking. He did not stretch out his bowl. He just watched people pass. The voices from the night before echoed in his head. "Bring blood or we take yours." He spotted a young girl walking alone. She was about 16. Her school uniform was clean, and she wore a red scarf on her head. She looked calm. Musa stood up slowly and followed her from a distance. She walked past the bridge, into a quiet street behind the market. Musa looked around. No one was watching. He moved faster. When the girl stopped to tie her shoe, Musa grabbed her arm. "Help me carry something inside this building," he said quickly, pointing to an empty house. The girl looked confused. "What? I don't know you." Musa smiled in a fake way. "Just for 2 minutes. Please." But the girl stepped back. "Leave me alone." Musa tried to pull her. Suddenly she shouted, "Thief! Leave me!" 2 men nearby heard her and rushed over. Musa let go and tried to walk away quickly. One of the men grabbed him. "Why are you dragging her?" Musa stammered. "She dropped something." "I was helping her," the girl pointed at him. "He was trying to force me into that house." More people gathered. They started shouting at Musa. But before anyone could beat him, he ran away. He ran deep into the bush. That night, Musa cried beside his calabash. I tried. I really tried. But the wind blew hard. The fire would not light. And the calabash stayed cold. The spirits had seen everything. They were not happy. It rained all night. The sky was dark, and thunder shook the rooftops in Lagos. No one saw Musa at the bridge that morning. His spot was empty. His plastic bowl was gone. People thought maybe he was sick or had moved to another place. But Samuel, the boy who once followed him, felt something was wrong. He told his uncle again, but this time the man listened. Together, they walked toward the bush near the uncompleted building. The path was wet and quiet. As they got closer, they saw footprints in the mud. Then they saw something ahead, Musa's bag, beads scattered, and beside a small fire pit, Musa's body. He was lying on his side. His eyes were open. His mouth was open. But he was not breathing. Near him was the calabash. It was cracked, and inside it was ash, coins, and black cloth. Around the calabash were strange marks drawn into the soil. They looked like symbols. Samuel stepped back. I told you, he whispered. The uncle quickly called the police. When they arrived, they searched the area. An officer picked up the broken calabash and said, "This looks like ritual stuff." They carried Musa's body away. No one claimed it. People who heard the news were shocked. Some said he died from sickness. Others said it was karma. But the few who knew his secret understood what happened. The spirits he served took what they asked for. And in the end, they took him. That spot near the bush became silent forever. No one begged there again. No one walked there at night. And the red scarf girl never passed that route again. The beggar's secret had ended. But the fear remained.
The end.
Thank you for watching the video to the end. If you find this video interesting, do well to hit the subscription button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for new stories.